Hi, Susan here. So for the past 3 days, when I woke up in the morning, I wanted to do a Facebook Live. And yet, I really don't have words to describe what I've been feeling. Really, it started on May 10th when I had an experience, and some of you may already have heard me talk about this experience, but briefly, I was in Manhattan. It was 7 p.m. I went outside with mask and gloves on to celebrate the frontline healthcare workers. There was somebody who had set up an amplifier and a mic and had gotten atop the hood of their car and was singing the Star-Spangled Banner, and then what's the name of the song? You Lift Me Up. I think that's the title of it. But whatever, it was a celebration of the frontline healthcare workers, and I was so grateful for this opportunity to express my gratitude in my hometown, where I was spending a day. And after the applause and a police car going by and being cheered and thanked, a young black man walked by and, speaking loud enough to be heard, clearly not yelling, simply said something like, yeah, go on applauding. This isn't what happens in my neighborhood. In my neighborhood, somebody could be killed for getting up on top of their car and singing. And he was walking towards, I was on Lexington Avenue, he was walking towards Park Avenue, and really captured my attention. And I felt as though a dagger had gone right through my heart, because here I was celebrating, and in my privileged, primarily white neighborhood, everything was very safe. And he was a reminder to me that there are other parts of this country, let alone the world, where racism is alive and well. And so with this pain that just filled my whole body, I went back upstairs to the apartment where I was staying, thinking, what does love in action look like here? And what that man said, and at that time, the major news story was about Ahmaud Arbery, and something had shifted in me, and really wondering what I can personally do for this to be a more loving world, for this ism of racism that kills to evolve to a place where this experiment in democracy, the United States, can be so much more true to its values of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for all. So I've been thinking about this for, it's almost a month now. And then on Memorial Day, the murder of George Floyd accelerated my, okay, Susan, it is really time for action, with an awareness that my work that focuses on a loving relationship with ourselves, which can seem so personally focused, what does it have to do with anything else? Here's what it has to do with anything else. This virus of racism, and ultimately the virus of all isms. But right now, this virus of racism, we know what the remedy is for it. I'm not talking about policy right now, even though a lot of that is clear in terms of the criminal justice system. We know that in the bigger sense, it is love that is the remedy for hate. It is love that has us move from truly seeing us as one, as a global community, as a diverse, magnificent field of flowers of different colors, sizes, shapes, and ages. That it must start in the hearts of each one of us. A loving relationship with ourselves is a political act, because when I love me, I have compassion for others. I'm willing and my eyes are open to look at the inequities and to take a look at how have I, oftentimes without even knowing it, how have I supported these inequities? And so in these past few days, when I've woken up every morning and thought, okay, today I'm going to do a Facebook Live, for whatever reason, I couldn't bring myself to do it. But in the midst of this, I've decided that the place for me to start, it's been so easy in my lifetime to, when I think about racism, to think about, well, it's a black problem, or those white supremacists are really racist. I decided I really need to learn more. There weren't Black history programs when I was in college, and quite honestly, I'm not 100% certain I would have enrolled in one. I don't know. And I have spent a lot of time in the work that I've done hearing about the pain of different groups based on the stereotypes, and that has been very eye-opening for me. I thought, okay, I'm going to start a book club. And actually, that's what I've done. And I will post information about it if you're interested in joining. I've started with a book which is called, I thought I have to start where I am. And it isn't when I see what has gone on in the Black community since the inception, since the birth of Black Lives Matter. I am so inspired by the commitment, by the focus, and continue to be inspired as I see the protests all over the country by how the time is now. It isn't simply a Black problem. It is a white privilege problem. So the first book that I've chosen is called White Fragility, and the subtitle is Why Whites Have a Difficult Time Talking About Racism. I'm actually listening to the book on tape, and in this short, I listened for about 30 minutes yesterday, and I see that each one of us who are not Black, who are white, has to take a look at how have I internalized the racism of the world without judgment of ourselves, rather with an awareness that is embraced by our commitment to not only be anti-racist, to truly go beyond that in terms of we are one, and homogeneous in terms of we are one in being humans. And we do best when we accept our differences. And yesterday what occurred to me as I was thinking of Black and white and Black and white is each one of us has a shadow within us. Each one of us has a part that we've wanted to get rid of or are still fighting with to get rid of. And what that sounds like for some people is, I worked on this issue in therapy. Why does it keep coming up? Well, it keeps coming up because we each have always the capacity to deepen and expand our capacity to be, give, and receive love. So the starting place is to look at, how have I, even in my sense of unconsciousness, how have I perpetuated the horrible, horrible treatment of people of color? And in the act of loving ourselves and embracing the shadow within us and listening to what the shadow within us needs. And for many of us, it's a reparenting of ourself. It's shadow work, it's inner child work, it's trauma work, whatever title we give it. And I am committed to being a mighty expression of love in the world. And so I recommend the book White Fragility, and I recommend on Netflix, it's a 2016 documentary, which I didn't learn about until 2 days ago, and it's called 13th. It's the number 13 with a little TH after it in the title. It's on Netflix, and it's about slavery and how slavery has evolved and been reinforced by the criminal justice system. So this is an ongoing conversation, and I have said often that, I've said it on this video already, loving ourselves is a political act, because it's only through loving and listening to all of the voices within us, the voice of the judge, the voice of the shadow, the criticism, and then loving that part of us. So I'm inspired by the words, "Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me." And I'll be posting information about the book club on Facebook, both in my Wholehearted Living group and on my friends page. I invite you to join me and to share resources and to listen to the stories. I discovered just yesterday why it is that I just have a cursory view of history. And that's because it wasn't taught in stories. And that's how I truly get, understand information. And I've been listening to the stories. So, love that shadow in you. Be grateful for this opportunity through the sacrifice of so many men and women of color for 400 years, and for more recently, just in the past, in this year, 2020. I'd make a commitment to be a mighty expression of love. And how are you expressing your love today? I'm expressing my love today by sharing what's in my heart right now. Bye-bye for now.